How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Romero Pictures Indie Brigade podcast with your host, George C. Romero and Joe Ridgely.
And Loren, what do you got going on? I had a sea of support for the post by George as we talked yesterday about a few things.
Yes, we did, and we will get to that momentarily. We've got a phenomenal show tonight. After my dumbass kind of rambles on for a little bit here in a minute, I think we're going to go ahead and bring up a good dear friend and dear brother of mine, Richard Grieco.
I took him off guard, sorry. And then we got Loren that has an opinion also. So if Richard, if you can give an opinion on this.
Have you been listening?
That'd be a better.
Or are you just hanging out with your dog?
I'm just going to put you on the spot, deer in headlights.
I got into it about 8-9 minutes ago. Back in. Started listening again.
Awesome. Well, so you probably heard some of my ramble there. I don't know if it makes any fucking sense. I don't know. There's no counter. I don't know how many other than the comments that I see popping up that I haven't even paid attention to, and I apologize to everybody for that. I've just been rambling, so I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense.
In retrospect, on how people in especially, well, I mean, in the business in general, but especially in the indie world, it seems to be it's gotten to the point where people are so worried about what people think about what they're doing instead of worrying about their own stuff and creating their own stuff. And they're always worried about, like you said, like, was that my idea? Did you take my idea? I mean, I remember the day where I come up with an idea for a movie or a script or this or that, and we bounce it around. It was almost like writing songs, and it wasn't a big deal. But it seems today I've lost so many people that get. It seems when things are going well, they find any way to sabotage it. You know what I mean? It's really odd. It's like they're like walking oxymorons. I mean, and then it gets to the point where, I mean, each person has a something that can be used to doing a project. Like, you do this well, and you do this well, and you can sell it well, and you can talk. I mean, and you can write a Bible, and you can pitch well. But now it's just funny. The past couple of years, other than meeting you and stuff like that, I mean, people get so weird and so kind of like, I mean, like where it's almost like a bipolar syndrome where they've changed so hard and so fast that and you're like, what did I do? And I'm thinking, what did I do other than be myself and stick up for people and not go behind their backs and just be upfront with them and tell them the truth. But you get there's a lot of jealousies out there now. It seems more so than it used to be. It's hard enough to make a fucking movie than to just talk behind each other's backs and you're gonna hear it anyways. You're gonna find out. I mean, eventually, who the fuck it is. I mean, come on, in this day and age. So it's like, I mean, I think everyone's just got to calm down and get to the point. It's funny. I talked to a friend of mine today. I told you who I'm not going to mention his name.
Yeah.
But even at the biggest agency in the world, they've kind of lost, and even said it, they've kind of lost sight of what they were doing and what they're there to do as far as create and do movies. Obviously, everything's got to. I mean, everyone's looking at the buck and how much it's going to make and stuff like that. But once you start looking at that, you kind of lose what the movie's about and why you did it. If you're looking at the goal of what it's going to do 2 years from now, then you kind of miss the point of the now.
That's right. That's an excellent point. You know what I mean?
I do think.
You know, like back when I was back in the Sunset Strip days, I was just talking about. You and I just talked about that yesterday, which is why I think it's in the tip of my brain. You know, like it was different, and you just lived for the now. That was the point of fucking creating. You had an idea, you had to get it out of your spirit or you were going to go crazy. So you created it and you did what you had to do to create it. I mean, do you remember seeing like David Lynch run around with his film camera out there, like on the Sunset Strip? He'd run up to you if you were eating, and he'd be like, "Hang on, I just want a shot of your burger," and and everybody was cool with it, And it was like, it didn't matter. It was just, that's how it used to be, and it's going away, man. And these people, like you say, they just turn on a fucking dime, and they turn on each other, and they turn on themselves. And you and I, we've got a lot of experience in this business, and God knows I have experience. Look, I haven't always been the person I am today, or I've made mistakes that I regret, and but that's me, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make sure that my own spirit's good with that. But as long as I can do something to try to keep this community together and keep it a community, I mean, it just needs more people to think the way you and I talk, which is why it means so much to me that you came on tonight, because there's not a lot of people I can talk to like I can talk to you, man.
No, we were talking about that today. I can't call anybody anymore. I can't, I called you today. We ended up talking for an hour and 25 minutes. I mean, and then I started calling, like I think you and I discussed it last week, calling people that you haven't talked to in a while.
Yeah.
And kind of going, you don't know why you haven't talked to them in a while and stuff. And they're in the business and they're good people. And I made a connection today that I never thought it would go that well. And now we got a great platform there where we can do stuff. And I think it's also, I myself, I'm horrible at it. When you become really provincial, which I do, and you go to those dark places like you were talking about, and that's why I paint, because if I didn't, I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now.
That's why I woodwork.
Yeah, exactly. But there's still good people out here, and there's still good people in this business. I mean, I think it's gotten to the point right now, it's so easy to make a film today with your camera. You see so many people making movies with their phone. And I think part of the process is the arduous process of the first getting the script, coming up with a good story, coming up with that platform first, and then take it from there. Then, and this is in the indie world, then going after an investor or two or three, which a lot of time is a real arduous process, and sometimes it's easier. Putting all those layers together, then finally getting to the point where you get the money, then you start putting a cast together, and a crew together, and this and that, which you and I have talked about tons of times, and that's part of the. And then after like 8 months, you finally get together, you set up a date when you're going to shoot, and you prep and this and that, and I think it's hard enough to get to that point without everybody just. Losing their minds out there. I mean, where people are really mean, and just really mean, and I think a big part of it is ignorance.
Yeah.
Today, and ignorance is when you're ignorant about a lot of things, and you try to talk about things you don't know about, and come from a place of non-knowledge, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's what's happening a lot with society too. I mean, people are talking about stuff that they had no idea what they're talking about, and I just think we got to get to a better place where
we have each other's backs again.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about talking to somebody and not worrying about what they're going to say or who they're going to tell the next day or that night.
That's right. Well, listen, hey man,
how you used to have a ton of friends and now you just have like a very few.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? But that's okay. And you know,
great.
yeah, it's honestly, you feel lighter. But listen, I want to continue this conversation with you. I want to close the show with you. I've got a couple of other people I want to bring in, and we've got Brett DeJager up here. Can you hang out for a little bit and come back on, and we can talk a little bit more about this in depth in a few minutes?
Absolutely.
All right, brother.
All right, brother.
All right. So before we get to Brett, you know, the whole topic of conversation, I got Loren that messaged me, and he was actually in the comments also. And if okay, I'm going to bring him up just for a moment, just so the whole indie side of it.
Dude, I love this fucking guy.
Okay, here we go. Loren, your mic is.
What's up, brother?
I think.
Yeah, you're muted.
There you go. There you go.
Yes. All right. Yes.
What's up, brother?
Things are all right. I was definitely looking forward to the show one way or another, but you know, I've been talking to you through the week and everything too. But you know, me wearing many hats. You know, obviously being an actor and a director of the Dark Military. I also run 2 film festivals, and I'm also in the city of Philadelphia, which is more of a, you know, it's a sports town. It's not really known for its independent films and everything. And, you know, not much comes out of here. And what I ended up having to do was basically break away and kind of come the anti-person from around here, because I've said a lot of things about the locals here. And I would wish I was wrong. I wish that, like, hey, the way their work ethic is, that's what I question. Their whole way of how they do things.
Well, you know, and listen, man, you know, I'm from Pittsburgh. I know the Philly, you know, I know the Philly game a little bit. You know, when you get cities that were put on the map by filmmakers, you get a different kind of culture in that city. You know, what my dad started up in Pittsburgh, you know, created a vibe and a tone for the city of Pittsburgh that, you know, then Pittsburgh went on years later to become a huge film city. And then they made Inspector Gadget there. And I think the director talked shit on the city back in LA or something. And so nobody came back to the city for a bunch of years. And now it's like a booming production town again. And it's awesome. And it's beautiful to see. But, you know, the thing about the Pittsburgh scene is that there's still this level of collaboration, you know, and I understand what you're saying about the work ethic and all of that stuff. But, you know, no matter what the work ethic is of the people around you, you got to just do your own thing as an artist, you know. And if those people if there's gonna be people that end up on your show or on your picture that don't have the right work ethic or aren't there to do what you need them to do, then you just get rid of them. I mean, and that's the thing, you know, that's the other thing about that I've noticed is that people are afraid because a lot of times we involve our friends in our productions, and that generally turns into, and I know you and I have discussed some of this stuff, it turns into almost like this committee by proxy. You involve some people that you know, and all of a sudden some of those folks end up believing that they've got a little more say in your vision.
Oh yeah.
And on the one hand, that's okay. But on the other hand, at the end of the day, if you're the filmmaker, it's on you to make sure that those people are there to support your vision. And when they make their movie, you'll be there to support their vision. And I think that maybe what you're talking about in Philly is like an actual small, you know, like city community kind of vibe of what we're talking about, where people, everybody's in the same city and nobody thinks that they can work together. Right.
Well, yes and no. Philly's a little bit more weird here. I always say, like, the people that become something from Philadelphia, they leave. They go to New York, they go to Atlanta, they go to LA. It seems like I wasted a lot of years here believing in a lot of the other film directors. And what a lot of the problem is, which I would call, as far as the independence, I call it the Philadelphia virus. And what the Philadelphia virus is when you're a brand new actor and you come in, you end up in somebody's film where they brought in no lighting, no audio, no storyboards. You worked for free, and you're watching these people do these films, and you find out, oh, they've only made about 4 or 5 short films. And you look at, well, this is just a guy walking around with a camera. That doesn't seem too difficult. You know what? I'm going to be a film director now. And it just chain react. And I will say, I started in 2010. I was one of those people. I was one of them. Well, why not? I'll start my own film, Maverick Superstar Films. I could do that. And
we were all one of those people. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, you got to start somewhere. But the thing is it's like whoever made the latest film thought they were the king. And it just seemed, well, you're not getting help from anywhere. You're not getting any funding. Everybody just had a terrible marketing campaign for anything that they were trying to put out with a Facebook page, a trailer, and then, well, I can't afford anything else. I call it the lottery ticket. That's their belief. They just hope it's going to chain react, and then they're working for Marvel, and they're going to be in the Star Wars movie. And you've got to have a huge marketing plan. And when I started my film festivals, Freedom Shorts of Liberty Massacre, it was nothing but locals. And I had like 400 people there all the time. It was the filmmakers, it was the cast, and their friends. And it was doing really good. These films weren't that good. Finally, I started getting content in from around the world, and I'm like, one of these here is a gem, and it's not a local.
Sure.
And then little by little, finally I started telling my people from around the country, like, yo, I'm doing films, and I showed them my films, and I call it like I have help desk. This is what you can call it, this Indie Brigade thing. Everyone, this is a help desk. This is here for direction. I showed them my films, and it was this, look, I'm a punk rocker. It was just brutally honest. They started laughing in my face. They're like, what is this lump of shit? It was terrible. And I was like, keep hitting me. Come on. So I went and told everybody else. And it's like, well, that's your film. That's not our film. And it was like nothing registered. So I was like the first one to say, look, your film's not leaving Philadelphia. It's only screaming at this coffee house. So it's like you film it, you screen it, your friends and family say it's great, you high five, you get the next script, you start the next one. You're not getting anywhere. You
will eventually get there, though. I mean, here's the thing. If you learn from your previous experiences, if you take what you've done and you build upon that, it's when people get stuck in the same thing over and over, right? It's that old do the same thing 1,000 times. It's
a Pittsburgh thing, but I'm calling what I'm just saying here. It's Groundhog Day, and they don't see anywhere else to go. That's all it is. And I was the one that left. One of the reasons I'm at the table here now with you guys. That's how the Dark Military came through, Pennsylvania Hardcore. You just have to get out there. You got to get the conventions. You got to go to screens. You got to go to Alamo Draft House. I mean, you just need the network. You can't stay local unless, you're obviously in New York, LA, or Atlanta, somewhere where you need to be. But you just got to get out there. And the more you get out there, the more there's a demand for you.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. It's also a double-edged sword because everybody hits you up, and you could just be like, someone could be hitting you up like, I need a favor. I'm out with my family. Oh, well, anyway, and then they just go right into it. Like they're very ignorant. They just
sure, yeah. Well, but look, even when you talk about these other cities, New York, LA, Atlanta, they're their own ecosystems as well. All of those cities have their own versions of what you're talking about, and it exists everywhere. And but at the same time, there are towns where those communities are less supportive, and they're more dedicated to tearing each other down. But like Philly, Pittsburgh, people don't realize what a tough town Pittsburgh was to grow up in, but when we would tear each other down, we would do it in hopes that we were honestly trying to help each other fix, like a muscle. Like you go to the gym, you tear your muscles, they heal, right? Yeah. Like that was kind of the same thing. Like, okay, you're out there doing this shit. Yeah, man, great job, but you really blew it. So let's figure out how to do it better next time, and what can we do to help? And that's what the Indie Brigade is about. We're here to help heal those muscles so that you can keep flexing them and exercising and working out your art. Nobody started out a fucking Scorsese. Nobody started out a fucking Van Gogh. Nobody started out, any of these people, not even those people.
Yeah. And I would say also, I'm not just talking about my city, but everybody else, you've got to earn this, and you have to outwork. And your life has to shut down. You've got to dedicate yourself to this business. And I just think a lot of people don't want to go that extra mile. And hey, I act. I've been closer to 100 independent films. I've got the Dark Military out, which you guys could check out now. The Pennsylvania Hardcore documentary, Freedom Shorts, Liberty Massacre, and I do a show from Princeton Television with Adam Bierman, Like that's me putting out like fishing like networks. You know, it's like you're just trying to see which one of these could give you the next level and all that. And like due to that is why I'm a part of more of on, you know, helping. I have a small role in it, but this is how I got into Terrifier Part 2. That's why Damien like trusted in me. I'm not just like a fan that hit him up. It's like, yo, can I be in your movie? That happens every day.
Right.
So that's how things get done, folks. Like you just I was like on 20-hour days like a couple of days ago with the Terrifier thing because I'm still doing my real world job. Then going to that movie set.
Right. Absolutely. Loren, I fucking think you're the best, man. I'm so proud that you're here in the Brigade, man. I'm proud to know you. I'm happy that you're here, and I'm happy that you got a voice in this shit, man. I really am. It means the world to me.
Thank you. And you know what? A lot of the people from the Brigade sent me friend requests, and they're just so supportive. I just like say thank you to all that, like because they've been reposting all the dark military stuff. I mean, folks, this is great. I love all you guys. I love how you guys hit me up with IMs. I love talking to everybody. That's a big thing too, everyone. You got to talk to your fans. If they're writing you, you just can't be like, I don't know this guy. If they're your fan, make time for them because they're making time for you.
Yeah, and you know what else I'll tell you? A lot of your fans will end up being good friends.
Yes, they will.
You know? Listen, Loren, I got to bring up Brett DeJager, but I can't thank you enough for popping in here and talking with us, man. Seriously.
Thank you. I followed up Richard Grieco. That's so cool.
There you go.